Yeah. So we got a patch today or yesterday. It was yesterday afternoon, I think, actually. I was away from the PC by that point, but it was on the PTU, Star Citizen 320.1. Let's dive into it because it's probably the biggest quality of life update that they've given to date for anybody that plays with other people. Outside of PvP, I guess. So let's check it out. I mean, this is huge. So we still have huge known issues like crashing the desktop when opening loot boxes, but they're hinting at another thing that they're fixing, and yeah, so that's good. Some jump point stuff. Can't undock the whole C still, which is still the major piece of 320 that they sold in the, I guess, the marketing for it. We're still dealing with repair, refuel, rearm. Although anytime I've tried to repair, refuel, rearm, it has worked. So yeah. Now they made ground vehicle improvements that apparently made everything worse, is what people said. I didn't try them. I still don't ever use a ground vehicle. I know some of you guys do to go to like bunkers, and somebody said that they use them to turn off comm arrays. Like there are some uses for them, but I just don't. So I never really see these differences. And I have not played Tank Royale or anything like that recently. But this single line here is, if you're looking at the chat at the start of the video, I guess there's a huge deal where you couldn't, like, they brought hull scraping in. They brought the Vulture in, which is arguably not a solo ship, right? You have 12 SUs of cargo, and you have the kind of pain in the ass in the back where you would need two people to kind of manage it, right? But you know, if you ever put a hull A with a Vulture, they just go so well together. It's such a great experience until you try to go to sell. So when the person who owns the hull A would try to go to sell, they couldn't because it was considered stolen cargo. So they would have to go to a risky place and sell there, make less money. And it kind of felt stupid. And it kind of felt like it was working against people playing together. And I do remember Xylo coming into my chat and going, what other quality of life things do you want in the game before, like, after we have, like, their initial, like, hey, we're doing quality of life stuff. He popped in the chat and said, hey, list off some of the biggest things. And I named this as one of the biggest things. And I imagine I wasn't the only one who named this as a really big thing. Anybody who plays in a group that isn't just solo PvPing, this is a big piece of the puzzle, right? This is a big thing. And you're now able to sell things owned by members of their party without it considered stolen. So the party is now becoming the org in a way. So I'm calling this like orgs 1.00001, right? Like there's so many other pieces that need to happen, but this is a big piece to that puzzle of working towards orgs 2.0, right? Because all they have to change would be the game recognizing this is a member of your org, and then bang, everything works the same. So now that Vulture experience, now anything where you're, cargo hauling commodities, now you can split out and I don't know, it just opens up a lot of possibilities for, unfortunately, future gameplay and not things that currently exist now. But some of the things that currently exist now, like hull scraping, it really broadens that horizon. I think it's still fine with mining. You can swap bags out with no problem as long as you're swapping to another mining vehicle. But, I saw somebody say this affects rock mining. In my experience, it never has, but okay. So that's good too then, I guess. But in general, huge update for the game as a whole. because that functionality is very, very, very important for the future. So it still hinges on, Tony Z economy. It still hinges on many, many things. But if this didn't exist, none of those things would exist either, right? So very, very good. So let's take a look at the bug fixes, see if there's anything else. Ah, yes, that's right. So client crash recovery just wasn't working. And I've heard that people basically, it wasn't working at all, but other people, it's worked in the past. I've never had it work. So I'm considering running around and checking out loot containers today to see if it does, because I've literally have not had it work for like over a year, maybe multiple years now, where every time my client crashes, I am sent back to the location I was at last. And my ship is just sitting there. Like, it recovered my ship. My ship's sitting there, but it never recovers me. So fingers crossed that, maybe my account isn't like borked in some weird way. But it's never quite worked with me. The player. So this is another thing where the player may not have their server assignment reserved during an ungraceful disconnection. So that's also good. Vehicles, Hull C, auto docking is still problems. Oh, this is a big one too for group play. VoIP players in voice over IP have always been super quiet in comparison. This was another thing that I called out in that quality of life conversation. I also think that the VoIP keybind needs to be changed to something more usable. So the fact that they're looking at VoIP at all is a win. Unable to interact with offshore. Okay, now we're getting into small stuff here. Small stuff. Damage modifiers appear not to work. I think I found this one out and helped DJ out with that one. And then gun rush. We'll see. This is probably a should be fixed, but if you guys enjoy gun rush when the gun switches and you can't shoot, it's probably the most frustrating thing in the world, because gun rush is incredibly fun, but that was incredibly not. So a lot, I can even see it. Like, I was getting kills where a guy didn't have a gun in his hand, and I can see that they didn't have a gun in their hand, but I know that he thinks that he has a gun in his hand, and it just didn't feel right or fair. So let's see what gun rush is really like if this gets fixed. That'll be really cool. And then, yeah, fix a few client crashes, but as we called out earlier, expect quite a few if you're looting containers. So we'll see. But that is probably the single biggest quality of life fix for me personally in the entire 320 cycle. 321 is not 320. It's not 321. Obviously, it's 320.x for right now until we start doing the big stuff. So for me, obviously, this is still the 320 branch and all that stuff. So for me, this is the biggest. That is super huge. I have an org that likes to do that stuff specifically, and I'm so excited for what we can come up with to make things even more fun. Like, dedicated cargo haulers can now be dedicated cargo haulers for an org. That's awesome. Cryptical's one of my org mates right there nodding in chat. So I'm really excited for that stuff. And yeah, I'm going to test it out today. So awesome. Awesome. Quality of life continues. But unfortunately, we're still lacking and still suffering from quite a few bugs as the game's in alpha, and we will. But yeah, can't wait.